the other one. I will not be able to say so. This is a moment today, and I want to say welcome. There is always a fear that politicians are very tough. Today you realize that they are very friendly people, and we are going to have a moment to respond to the questions you will raise today in this voting process.
I think before we proceed, we are going to have the nominee present his testimonial certificates, and of course there, and also the members of the firm, and do also professional duty. So, where's our sergeant?
Prayers today. We are not praying for the nominee.
You came late.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's have our secretariat hand over your testimonial certificates to the secretariat. So, have you received them? You have a checklist. There is a guideline on what's supposed to be presented. Meanwhile, we can also have the sergeant administering the oath.
I, Douglas Kanja Kirocho, do swear that the evidence I shall give before this committee on the matter under its consideration shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you.
So he has signed? Very good. Okay. Thank you so much. So quickly, members, we are going to do introduction. And Senator Karibu, and you can start by introducing yourself as we come in that order.
Thank you, Chair, Joint Chair, Professor Tom Ojenda, Senior Counsel, Senator Kisumu County, and a member of the Security Committee of Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, co-chairs. I'm Liz Chelule, County MP, Nakuru, and a member of Administration and Internal Affairs Committee. Thank you.
I am Rosa Akinyi-Buyu, Member of Parliament, Kisumu West Constituency, and a member of this committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, co-chairs. My name is Senator Karen Jerry Nyamu. I'm the Vice Chair of the Senate Committee. Thank you.
Fatuma Dulo, Senator Isiolo, member of Security Committee, the Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, co-chairs. My name is Joseph Hithuku Kamau, Senator for Lamu County, and a member of this committee.
Chairs, I'm Fred Kapondi, MP Mount Elgon, and a member Security Committee, National Assembly.
Thank you, co-chairs. I am Fatuma Jeho, County MP, Wajir, and a member of the Internal Security Committee, National Assembly.
Hussein Weitan, Member of Parliament, Mandara East, and a member of Security Committee, National Assembly.
Thank you, co-chairs. My name is Lenku Kanarseki, Senator Kajiado, a member of this committee in the Senate.
Thank you, Co-Chair. My name is Senator George Bugwa, nominated from Nyandarua County, member of the Senate Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Co-Chairs. I'm Ambassador Francis Gay, MB Sotik, and a member of National Assembly Internal Security. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Co-Chairman. My name is Dido Raso, MP Saku, and Vice Chair, National Assembly Committee on Security.
Co-Chairs, my name is Proto Sakuja, Member of Parliament for Lohima constituency, a member for National Assembly, Committee on Administration and National Security. Thank you.
Thank you, Co-Chair. I'm Muru Kahangara, Member of Parliament, Lari constituency, a member of the Administration and Internal Security Committee, National Assembly.
Thank you, Co-Chairs. Sarah Korere, MP Laikipia North, and a member of the Committee on Administration and Internal Security, National Assembly.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Sarah Dumuwur, the outgoing member of Parliament for Nyakach and a member of this committee, Security Committee in the National Assembly, otherwise known as the Black Beauty of Kisumu.
Thank you, Co-Chairs. My name is Oku Kaunya, a member of Parliament for Teso North and a member of the Administration and Internal Security Committee of the National Assembly.
Hopefully not outgoing as well. Okay, Gabriel Tongoyo, MP for Narok West, and the chair, co-chair of this committee.
William Cheptumo, Senator Baringo, chair of Security Committee, Senate, and a co-chair of this committee.
So, Secretariat, you can represent your team. It's big enough, maybe.
My name is Jenga Juguna, Director Committees in the Senate, and we have a battery of joint secretariat around here, researchers, legal counsel, media relations. Because of time, we may not introduce all of them at the time, but we represent the joint secretariat of Parliament. Thank you, Co-Chairs.
Members of the fourth estate, there are equally many here. Besides the members of all the state and the parliaments, do you have any other members, any other person in this house who has not introduced himself? Anyone? None. Okay. Yeah, you can introduce yourself. Okay. So it's okay. You know, this session is open to the public, so you are highly welcome. So before we start, I just want to confirm for record purposes from our legal team whether you had managed to confirm the documents as listed, as presented by a nominee. This is to include the compliance with the tax compliance. You can just, Judy can respond.
Yes, they're in order.
Okay, higher education loan board.
Yes.
ESCC clearance.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And of course, you also confirm his identity.
Yes.
Is here. Now, Mr. Douglas Kanja, welcome once again. You have been nominated for the position of Inspector General of Police. And you're here for vetting by both houses of parliament. And we want just to give you maybe 5 or so minutes to really tell Kenyans and this House who you are, to include, of course, your family background, your education background, work experience, and any other information that you think is important for Kenyans to know.
Honorable co-chairs and honorable members, this morning I come before you as a nominee to the position of Inspector General of the National Police Service. To start with, let me start by saying that I'm grateful to the President for finding faith and favor in terms of nominating me as a nominee for this position. Number two, I'm grateful to this committee headed by the 2 co-chairs that they have assembled here this morning so that the process of vetting and approval can be able to go on. Let me say that my name is Douglas Kanja Kirosho. I was born on 22nd September 1963 in a small village in central Kenya known as Jadaine Village in Madera West sub-county, the way it is now. Way back in 1972, I joined class 1. I did my CPE in 1978. Thereafter, I went for my secondary education. I joined Sagana Technical School then, where I did my O-levels. I also did automotive engineering in that section of my studies. Having passed very well, I joined the Murang'a High School in the year 1983 and 84, where I did my A-levels. In 1985, July, after my A-levels, I was recruited in the then Kenya Police Force under the General Service Unit. I did my training in the GSU training school, which is now the current Ebakas B campus. And I also did the practical phase of the training in Magadi Field Training Camp of GSU. I did it around the following year, 1986, I graduated as a constable under the General Service Unit. I was deployed to serve this country. That's when I started serving our country way back in 1986. I started my career as a constable. The first area that I served was in North Rift. Basically, I started with Rokishogio. Then I came down to Tot, that is in Marakwet East now. I did it around to Kapendo, which are some of the areas that there were many criminal activities that were ongoing then. So that is the kind of reception that I received after my initial training as a recruit of the General Service Unit. I have served in many companies of the General Service Unit in various capacities. I have risen through the ranks from the constable up to the last point where I was the acting Inspector General of police. I've not missed even a single rank within the service. I have served this service for the last 39 years. Continuous service in the policing services. I've seen a lot. We have done a lot to ensure that our country remains safe. And I'm ready to continue doing that. In the course of my career, I later joined Amaras Training School because then I wanted to become a technician, an arms technician, so that I can also be able to serve our country in that other direction whereby the safety of our firearms and ammunition and the accountability was also critical in ensuring that the police service continued to render its service. And I was trained for a period of 3 years. And again, graduated as an AMARA, that's a technician, whereby I was involved in the maintenance, in database creation. I was involved in the marking of the state-owned firearms that we have today in our records here. The database that we are using, the government is using, I am the creator of that database that ensures accountability of all the service firearms that are held in this great republic. That ensures that if we happen to lose a firearm anywhere, it is very easy to get to know where is this one coming from, who is the owner, and then investigations can be done. If it is an illicit firearm, again, we'll also be able to do that because illicit firearms are not, in most cases, they are not marked. Then later on, I went back to training where I was promoted to the rank of corporal. Later on, promoted to the rank of inspector after attending the inspectorate training program. And I became a platoon commander. I did my duties as a platoon commander, where I was able to lead a group of around 32 men in one platoon. That kind of capability. We were able to recover many stolen animals, restitute them back to their legitimate owners, ensure security in this great country of ours. Later on, I was promoted to the rank of Chief Inspector of Police. I deployed to Presidential Escort Unit in the year 2003, where I served in the Presidential Escort Unit. I was trained on VIP protection duties, served the government in that capacity. I was once the OC High Range Camp. That's a camp under the Presidential Escort Unit. I already served in that capacity to the satisfaction of everybody, including my superiors. So at that juncture, I was considered for promotion to the higher level of superintendent of police. And that way I was sent to Kanja Police College, which is a campus now, whereby I trained for a period of 6 months. And later on, I was interviewed and qualified to be promoted to the rank of superintendent by the then Public Service Commission, and appointed to the gazetted ranks in that order. I rose through the ranks, and I served in many other capacities, including that of the Deputy Chief Force Amara, the Chief Force Amara, and in between, I got so many other trainings in here and outside, including South Africa, Israel, and many other areas where I advanced in my trainings. So during that time when I was the service Amara, at the time when I did create the database, so that you can be able to enhance accountability of the state-owned firearms. It is even today, the database that is being used by the policing agencies, and I'm grateful for that work. Later on, and along the lines, I also rose through those ranks up to the position of a Senior Assistant Commissioner of Police then. And I was deployed as the Deputy Commandant, Kenya Airport Police Unit at the Jomo Kenyatta, the unit that is responsible to the security of all the airports within the Republic of Kenya. I was the deputy there for some time. And then in between now, the Police Service Commission came into being, and the feting of the Kafurudi came also into being. And I was feted by the then Kafurudi team, and redesigned as a commissioner of police, and deployed to Coast Region as the county police commander in Kilifi. A position that I served well. When in Kilifi, I found there were many challenges there. There were RAD issues, there were MRC issues, and even the issues of terrorism were there. So on my deployment there, I hit the ground running. I ensured that normalcy was restored, and MRC was done away with. I must also remind that in the course of that, I've gone through the university education, having joined the service, graduating with a BCom with finance option. I have also a diploma in security management and a diploma in management. Those ones were all meant to prepare my path so that I can be able now to manage the policing services at the higher levels. And I am grateful that I followed that path. I followed that thought. It's good. Then after serving in Kilifi, I was later on appointed the Deputy Commandant General Service Unit, and promoted to the rank of Assistant Inspector General. And within a short time, I was deployed in Boni as the operations commander down there, because there were many issues down there in the Lam County, and Boni was a hot area. Many people had lost their lives. Terrorism was taking root there in that forest, and the government, in its wisdom, appointed me, of course, together with others, so that we can be able now to address the issue of Boni. I went down there together with others and generated the work plans, the operations plans that we did deploy there. Actually, it brought down the issues that were there. The ring of the IEDs and the rest came actually to a stop. I did operate in the deep operations, deep inside the forests, with the teams drawn from the motor agency, including the GSU, the defense forces, Kenya Defense Forces, the NIS teams, and the rest in the motor agency spirit. And that way, we brought down the kind of challenges that we had there. And even today, I'm grateful to the officers who are there, because they are doing a commendable job to ensure that the population down that area remains safe. I want to take this opportunity and thank the officers actually for being courageous enough to ensure that that part of our country is safe, and the people of Kenya can still continue with their businesses from the morning to the evening to the next morning, and that way our people can be able to benefit. Great gratitudes to our officers in the security agencies. Thereafter, co-chairs and honorable members, I returned back to the General Service Unit headquarters, and I was appointed the Commandant General Service Unit. That was way back in 2018. I served in that capacity for a period of 5 years, where I did a lot of reforms in the GSU. to the extent that the unit, I did put it in a way that the entire unit remained mission ready at any time. We could be able to deploy within the shortest time possible. And this one can actually be confirmed but by what happened in Dusit when in the year 2019, January I remember, when our country was attacked by terrorists in the Riverside Drive down here. We were able to respond very, very quickly when the terrorists struck. And that one disrupted the activities. Although we lost, at the end of the day, we lost around 21 people. But when the officers, the responding teams responded, there was no more killing. Until the following morning, when I lost an officer in the early morning of the following day. So that is the kind of entity that I did prepare, an entity that can be able to respond to Kenyan needs. I was appointed the operations commander. I operated for 17 hours continuously. At the end of the day, we returned the situation to normal. The terrorists, we were able to bring down the terrorists. We were able to secure over 1,200 people who are held captive by the terrorists there. And for that, I'm happy about that. And grateful because we also got a lot of support from the other multi-agency teams. And I will return back to the GSU headquarters and continue serving as that capacity of the commandant until again when the interviews for the DIGs were invited. Like any other senior officer qualified, I applied. And at the end of the day, I was found suitable and appointed the DIG in charge of the Kenya Police Service, a service that I started serving on 12th April 2023, that is last year. I served in that capacity for around 15 months. And during that period of time, I did a lot of reforms in the Kenya Police Service because there were many challenges when I joined the Kenya Police Service. Many challenges. I know majority of you honorable members, co-chairs, you understand the myriad of challenges that the Kenya Police Service has. I did work very, very closely with everybody, including this committee. I worked together closely with other commanders so that we can be able to address some of the challenges. And even when I was there, I realized that the training was a major issue. And my belief, coaches, is that training is critically important because once trained, you can now be able to render service from a point of knowledge. If not trained, then there's a problem. So I embarked on serious training of officers. And that one is still continuing to date. Co-chair, I wish to submit.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kanja. But just quickly, are you married? Do you have a family?
Yes, co-chairs, no other members. I am married. I have a family. I have 3 children. I have 6 grandchildren. And I'm grateful to God for that.
You're a family man?
I'm a family man. Yes.
A Christian or a Muslim?
Yes, I'm a Christian. Okay. I'm a Christian.
Okay, just lastly, before I give to my co-chair, because it's good to get to know that Kenyans are really following and they want to know the kind of a person that possibly, if approved by these members, is going to be in charge of the security in the National Police Service. Now, have you ever by any way been charged in any court of law or convicted?
No.
No. Have you ever been adversely mentioned in any investigatory report?
Co-chairs, honorable members, have never. So the answer is no.
Very good. Mr. Kanja, you're a Kenyan citizen, no doubt. But could you by any chance have a dual citizenship, maybe of another nationality?
Co-chairs and honorable members, I'm a Kenyan by birth. I don't have any other nationality. As I've indicated, I was born in that small village there, and I still belong to that village. So I'm a Kenyan by birth, and I'm proud to be a Kenyan.
My co-chair, anything?
Okay. I just want to inform the nominee that apart from questions which will be asked by these members, as I said earlier, Kenyans are watching these proceedings. So there will be questions from the public later. I just want to inform you on that position so that you know. Now, Chapter 10 of the Constitution deals with matters of national values and principles of governance, which requires any public servant to uphold in his leadership good governance, integrity, transparency, accountability, among others. You've been in the service for how many years now?
For 39 years.
39 years. To what extent? Because 39 years is really a long time. You served under the old constitution and the 2010 constitution. To what extent do your personal and work experience reflect these principles? Have you been able to display integrity, transparency, accountability, and all values set out in Chapter 10, Article 10 of the Constitution in your 39 years of leadership? That is question number one. Question number two is Chapter 6 again of the Constitution, leadership and integrity. Have you ever been adversely associated with practices that depict bias, nepotism in the discharge of your duties in the 39 years? We are talking about areas where you've been able to display, and in those stations you've served, you are able to tell the committee there are very many stations you've been able to serve, being promoted. Can you confirm to this committee if you have been able to depict or show any of those aspects of bias in promotion, handling people, and generally discharging your duties?
Thank you, co-chairs. Thank you, honorable members. In Chapter 10 of our Constitution, I want to confirm to this committee that in the many years that I've served in the public service as a police officer in different capacities, I have at all times held those values, the values as dictated by a constitution, at very, very high esteem. That is what has actually, over the years, made me find favors with my seniors on the realization that I am a Kenyan and everybody to me is a Kenyan. That is how I have, in all my days, treated my officers. That is how I have treated our population. Every person who has at any time come to my office, because I believe in the open door policy where everybody is accepted. I have treated them as Kenyans foremost. I have held those values. I am an officer who holds gender values at very, very high levels. Along the line of my development in the service, I have ensured that I lead from the front, without fear, without favor. Even the other day when I was the Deputy Inspector General in charge of the Kenya Police Service on matters leadership and integrity, we had some promotion boards that were going on. I personally had to cancel a whole interviewing panel, which was somewhere in Eastern Region, because of practicing what is not envisaged in our act, in our so I had to cancel the whole and reassemble a new one and punish the other one. That is the extent that I can be able to go. So I want to confirm to you, Honorable Chair, that I am a person who have always transacted my government business within and always guided by the Constitution and more so by Chapter 10 of our Constitution. And if approved by this committee and appointed by the appointing authority, this is an area that I will continue in that trajectory. See everybody as a Kenyan, treat everybody as a Kenyan. Thank you, Your Chair.
Thank you, Bwana Kanja. Now I want to open for members to raise questions, and I will give the first three. I've seen Kabondi being the first one to raise Ms. Anne. So we will go for a bunch of three. You answer the questions. Another three in that order. My co-chair will be calling the other names. I will be calling others so that we proceed.
Co-chair, maybe before members takes, I just want to correct our nominee. His last statement, he puts it that if approved by this parliament and appointed by appointing authority, the true position is you have been nominated by the president and you will be approved or rejected by this committee and parliament by extension. So it's good you put it right.
Thank you very much.
True. His prayers, of course.
This is the parliament, the committee that will.
It's for you to approve.
Okay.
Okay, proceed.
Co-chair, you didn't look this side, eh?
Oh, sorry.
This other side, I'm at your back.
Where?
This side.
Oh, my classmate. I've noted your presence there. So let us have the first person to take us through. Kabondi.
Okay, co-chairs, I have...
we'll be mixing, of course, Senate and Parliament, so
correct.
Your two chairs here will be very fair.
Yeah, Mr. Kanja, there is no doubt that from the way you have presented yourself, you are very, very eloquent. And eloquence at times is very deceptive. You have been very clear here that your first posting outside, you are greeted with the kind of insecurity in Lokichokio, Todd, and Kapedo. That is in the North Rift. That area, as we speak to date, is still experiencing serious insecurity. At first, you are there practically on the ground. But now, as from the commanding position, you can still see the same level of insecurity that you first experienced on the ground, but you can now watch from a vantage position in Nairobi. Now, could you tell this committee, now that you are going to be the overall boss of police, if approved by Parliament and appointed by the President, what different thing are you going to undertake to sort out the level of insecurity? Because previously, other nominees would come with rosy ideas, they will just thump, but once they retreat to the comfort of the offices, their priorities deviate. So what do you think should be done by you differently in liaison with the government so that we can put the matters in security in the no drift to arrest forever? Thank you, Co-Chair.
This side, nobody. Oh, okay. Korere, definitely, that is your field, and also myself. Proceed, Korere.
Thank you, co-chairs. And
I want to follow the senator, so don't worry.
Bwana Kanja, there has been persistent banditry attacks and cattle rustling in North Rift. We truly appreciate the efforts put by the National Police Service, but despite the efforts, the cattle rustling has persisted. What could be the challenges that the police service is facing that is hampering it from doing away with? Because as from your own testimony, you are first greeted by the very same incidences when you are a young officer. Today, you've done 39 years in the service, and the problem is still more or less the same, if not at another level. Number two, what is the current status of the National Police Reservist? If you are approved and appointed, what will you do differently to ensure that the National Police Reservists are well equipped, are well enumerated, and are known that for a fact we know there are so much police reservists in these counties that have police reservists, so that we do not have cases whereby the police reservists double as bandits and police reservists. And finally, the issue of disarmament. We've heard the government talk tough about disarmament. We've heard the police do disarmament in part of North Rift, Laikipia included. But to date, the illegal firearms are still wreaking havoc in those areas. What will you do differently to ensure that illegal arms in the arms of civilians are more so criminals are taken away? And a very good example is the Mgogodo forest. You know what is happening in Mgogodo forest? The Sieku Valley, there was a disarmament in Laikipia North, but even as we talk yesterday, there was an attack. Where are these arms coming from?
I think the third would be Dulo.
Thank you, co-chairs. And thank you, Mr. Kanja. Now, my question is on conflict of interest. I'm sure, having served in police service for 39 years, you must have experienced that there are conflicts of interest that takes place within the police service. Section 12 of Public Officers Ethics, Cap 185 provides that a public officer shall use his best effort to avoid being in a position in which his personal interest conflicts with his official duties. And I believe you know that very well. In the Maraga report of the National Police Service Reform, it was established that there were very many cases of conflict of interest, including traffic police officers owning public service vehicles. Again, there are motor vehicle breakdown services that are owned by police officers, alcohol outlets, gambling outlets, and others. My question is, how can issues arising from conflict of interest be addressed in the police service to resolve professionalism, or to restore professionalism? Number two, what strategies are you going to put in place to ensure public confidence and trust in the police service be restored? I thank you, Chair.
Nominee, you can now answer questions from 2 or 3 members. Then we go to the next phase.
Honorable co-chairs and honorable members, let me start with the first question from Honorable Kapondi. That is about the North Rift and the serious insecurity. What is it that what is it that I can do differently to ensure that there is security in those areas? It is very true. It is very, very true, honorable members, that that is the area that I started my service when I joined the police force then. And true to what you have said, when I arrived in Lokshogyo, it didn't take long, then I lost a colleague of mine whom we had been recruited and trained together under the hail of bullets from some of the criminals there. That was the kind of baptism that we got in that area. But over the years, the government have actually done a lot, because then for those who know, that route from Kitale to Rodwa to Lokshogyo was not tarmacked, was a rough road, a maram road. It used to take several days actually to go to Rodwa. Not like today, probably you can do it in a day. Early in the morning, in the evening, you are actually in Rodwa. So there is, to me, there is a lot of investments that have actually come into being over the period of time. And that way, even deployment and responding to issues affecting security in those areas have actually been hastened. I know when I was the commander GSU, we had deployed many officers in those areas, the Turkana region, the North Rift areas, Samburu region, the Laikipia areas. We have had serious deployment in those areas, actually to deal with the problems that have actually been afflicting the people living in those areas. Now, what I've also seen over the years and what I believe in, these are issues that requires to be addressed, short-term address, the medium-term address, and the long-term kind of investment that is required to ensure that at the end of the day, we can be able to deal with that menace. However, along the line, something else has also happened. That now, the usual and the ordinary cattle rustling has also been commercialized, such that once the animals are stolen, these animals, it's very difficult to recover them. So, if I'm approved by this, by Parliament, and appointed to the position of the AG, the first thing that I would like to do is to work very, very closely with other stakeholders in that field, because this is an area that requires multi-pronged approach. It doesn't, not the police alone can be able to do it. No, everybody needs to get involved, including the Minister of Agriculture and Livestock Development needs to be brought on board, such that now probably we can also be able to leverage. They are around 50 kilometers away.
So it's tracker?
It's a tracker. Okay. So, but the police alone, the National Police Service cannot be able to do that. It needs to engage other stakeholders so that now we can be able to have an approach that is well informed and is supported by everybody. Otherwise, on the part of the National Police Service, we will continue to do what we are supposed to do. Right now we have got very, very serious deployment in that area. We are working together with the KDF and the other security agencies, including the National Intelligence Service, because ours is an intelligence-led kind of policing. We can be able, and in fact, we have disrupted so many activities of these cattle rustlers in a manner that we have actually brought down the menace to the levels that we have reached now. And if we can be able now to join and be joined by the others, we can continue to do that. Education is also a key leverage. So that is an area that requires serious investment in, because now, once we educate these communities, it's a good leverage. It's a good leverage. It's an equalizer actually. And some of these traditions can also be abandoned. And that's the reason why I said that from the beginning, that we need to have the immediate, what we can be able to do immediately. We have the teams there on the ground, then the medium term and even the long terms. We also need to introduce probably some other activities, agricultural activities in those areas, so that we can also be able to probably abandon some of the traditional ways that have all along encouraged very, very serious conflicts related to cattle rustling in those areas.
I would like you to, in view of time, you have just said one point by Korere and Kabonde.
Yes.
You still have, and I think you are not even through with that, because even me as the co-chair here, I will be on you on that issue. Cattle rustling started when we had just gone to Standard 1, 1977, during the time of Mr. Kenyatta. Moi came, 24 years, nothing doing, under their police commanders. Then Kibaki, and then Kenyatta to Uhuru. Now William, our head of state, Kanja. This is an issue that you must be able to give a substantive satisfactory and meaningful. I was MP Baringo North for 15 years. I did nothing else than to cry and, so, and I know you are aware about those issues between 2008 and 2022. So as a leader and as a member of this committee, I want to plead with you that this is an area where you are, even the president himself has given firm position that it is this regime which is going to sort out this issue. But he can audit himself. He will do it through you, if approved, and others. So I can even see from where I sit, Korere is not satisfied with the answer, but we are answering. We've talked about a very critical item. So if you can quickly now move those questions of the three members, so that, because we don't have a lot of time, and we wanted to give you enough time to speak to Kenyans through this forum.
Chair, I wanted to support your sentiments, co-chair. And you remember I was one of the delegates who went from this committee who went to Baringo. And Mr. Kanja, the way you have answered questions, I have no doubt that you will be able to sort out this thing. But my major concern, co-chairs, is the population in South Baringo and North Baringo who have been moved from their locations. They don't stay in their homes. What steps are you going to take? Remember, Chair, when we went there were even schools which were guarded by the security forces. And in spite of the fact that they were there, those bandits still attacked the school. So what are you going to assure the population? Because actually the people we must assure are the people of Baringo who have perpetually been under attack. And they want to hear from you what steps you are going to do.
Okay, thank you. So let us allow the nominee now, because I see he has a lot of points to say. But please see how you can summarize so that we call for the other round of members. I was just emphasizing the point.
Thank you very much, co-chairs. It is true that is an area that has had problems for a long time. I've also worked in Baringo around my service time, and what was there was serious issues of cattle rustling. Now, as I've said there before, I've indicated that I would like to work with everybody. Remember, our government now, it has clearly indicated, as you have said, that this menace must be completely dealt with. And that is the reason why right now we have got a serious operation that is going on in the entire that area. But if approved and appointed as the IG, what I would like to do in that area, I would also like to leverage, and I know we have been doing this, to have, in the areas that we are also very thin on the ground, we need to have additional NPLs. NPLs, they are the local peoples. They understand their terrains, they understand their traditions and the way of life. So myself, I would work very, very closely with the people, with the leadership of these areas to see to it that what is agreed is implemented, because I know we have local solutions in those areas that can actually be incorporated and assist the national government in sorting out the issues of cattle rustling. And I have indicated that I will be willing to work with all the leaders, to listen to everybody, so that we can be able to get a solution to deal with that menace once and for all. Otherwise, as I've indicated there before, we have got this very, very serious deployment in those areas. We are grateful that we have received back the air support services of the National Police Service. They are with us now, so we are much better. Although we still require a lot of support in terms of budgetary supports, and we will still be coming back to this committee for such supports, because that way we can be able to do what we are supposed to do and ensure that that menace is really dealt with and abridged. So for the people in those areas, I want to affirm to them that it's an area that I understand very well. It's an area that I understand the problem that is there. It's an area that I will be going from time to time to ensure that the forces on the ground are doing what they are supposed to do, to ensure that the children of this area, they go back to schools, to ensure that the mothers and the fathers, they do what they are supposed to do from morning to the next morning without looking over their shoulders on matters in security. So this is an area that personally I'm going to take charge.
Udulo's question.
The matters disarmament. Yes. On the
proceed.
On the issues of disarmament.
But we were just trying to consider the number of members, yes, and the kind of question I know they have. You need, of course, to a little bit summarize to the point, but leaving nothing, so that you can able to address to the many questions lined up for you.
The issue of Dulu is on conflict of interest, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it's on conflict of interest, but there was also the issues of disarmament and where the firearms are coming from. Okay. So I just wanted to mention that, our country, we are surrounded by a very, very disturbed area where we have got many sources of illicit firearms. The areas, the countries that I'm referring to, they are disturbed areas. You look at the Karamoja region, the Great Lake region has got a lot of challenges. But if approved and appointed as the IG, myself, I would like to work with the other agencies, including the LEXA, that is the Regional Center on Small Arms Light Weapons. I would like to work with the Kenya National Focal Point. These are the bodies that are actually very much involved, because if we want to reach the other areas, we reach those areas through the REXA, the REXA teams. So mine is to ensure that we work with everybody so that we can be able now to reach the other areas, the sources of these firearms. And then on our part internally, together with the Kenya National Focal Point, we continue to mop up all the firearms that are here. I've been very much there before involved in the mopping up of firearms, destroying them in various areas within this Nairobi. And we are going to continue doing that, to mop up this, because an illegal firearm in the hands of the wrong person is a dangerous thing. It's a dangerous one, and that one does not rest well with the National Police Service. So on matters conflict of interest, the question that was raised by Honorable Fatuma, it is true. The National Police Service has had serious issues on matters conflict of interest. When I was the DIG, Kenya Police Service, not many officers, because there are internal mechanisms that are provided, especially by the service starting on as the Police Act, on how to deal with these issues. So you find some of the officers, they are also the owners of the Rocco bars, the owner of the Rock Wine and Spirits, the owner of the Matatu there, the breakdown, as you have said. These are areas that when I was the DIG there in charge of the Kenya Police Service, I was hard on that, because it was agreed that you must choose what you want to do. If you want to be a bar owner, then so be it. There's no problem, but abandon the other side so that you can be able now to concentrate on one area. And this is something that we are going to continue working very, very closely with the National Police Service Commission on these matters until everything is streamlined. We cannot allow cases where you are a traffic officer, a police officer, but at the same time you are the owner of the matatu that is breaking all the laws, right, left, center. That cannot be around. And because we are working with everybody, the collection of intelligence and everything, if that thing happens, we will be in a position to stop it immediately. And if there is any that is ongoing, I would also like to urge my colleagues out there that let us concentrate on police work, leave other businesses to other people, so that the issues of the conflict of interest does not really arise. Thank you.
So we are going to take another round of questions, and we will kindly ask that you be precise to the point so that we can accommodate as many as possible. So we are going to take one from Raso and Senator Lamu, and for purposes of gender, Rosa Buyu, then Senator, just be on the line. In that order, and I will also challenge us to try to be brief so that we can also accommodate the rest.
Thank you very much, co-chairs. Mr. Kanja, the motto of National Police Service is utumishi kwa wote. Going down the memory lane, the prestige, all the good things about the National Police Service appears to have really gone down. That today Kenya's confidence in their police force is actually at the lowest. If Parliament is going to approve your nomination, what are those things you are likely to do so that you regain the moral high ground? Secondly, the issue of corruption. You talk about the good things the police do, and then you follow on with the issues of corruption that has really challenged the performance. All the good things are eroded by corruption, nepotism, malpractices, cronyism, favoritism, tribalism, or associated with the National Police Service. What is it that you are likely to do, or what strategies are you going to put in place so that things like recruitment, it is not for the highest bidder, that the guy who will be having 1,500,000 is actually the one who will be recruited? What will you cause so that an average Kenyan from a rural village in any part of Kenya can actually assess to be recruited in the National Police Service? Finally is the issue of Haiti. Kenyans are now in Haiti, and if you will be approved, they come under your command. The question I want to put to you is, did we follow the due process of law to be able to deploy our forces in that far-flung place called Haiti? And also, what are the benefits to Kenya? Because Kenyans would like to know that we didn't just send our men and women to the Caribbean, but actually there's benefit that is likely to accrue to the Kenyan people. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
That I said, Lamu, Senator.
Thank you.
Then I think Buyu.
Thank you very much, co-chairs. Mr. Kanja, I'm happy. I've heard that you are not new in the issues of Boni Forest. I wanted you to elaborate to this committee the measures that you will put in place to ensure that the people in counties that are in close proximity to Somalia, like Lamu, where I come from, Garissa, Marsabit, Mandera, and Wajir, remain safe and free from external aggression like Al-Shabaab. Number 2, your predecessor had some issues with the Kenya National Police Service on issues of transfers and promotions. How are you going? What are you going to do to make sure that these challenges are resolved? Thank you, Chair.
Buirosa.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Kanja, you've made reference to the Constitution that was promulgated in 2010, and that is the supreme law of this land. Article 37 of this Constitution, Mr. Kanja, provides that every person has the right to peacefully and unharmed to assemble, to demonstrate, to picket, and to present their petition to public authorities. Mr. Kanja, the 6th schedule of the National Police Service Act provides that a police officer shall always attempt to use nonviolent means first, and force may only be employed when nonviolent means are ineffective or without any promise of achieving intended results. It also stipulates that the force used shall be proportional to the objective to be achieved, shall be proportional to the seriousness of the offense, and shall be proportional to the resistance of the person against whom it is being used. The recent demonstrations that the country has experienced or witnessed, commonly known as the Gen Z demonstrations, is reported to have left over 60 people dead, scores of others injured, and a number of people abducted. Mr. Kanja, it is also reported that most of those dead people were unharmed and only had telephone sets in their hands. And many of them are also reported to have been shot from, on their backs. In line with the guidelines that I've just read, Mr. Kanja, do you think the police service has complied or has been complying to the provisions, especially when managing protests? Number 2, in your opinion, were there any security gaps in the management of such protests? And if in your consideration there was, what interventions would you consider in future if you do get confirmed to this position? Mr. Kanja, still on those demonstrations, on the 25th of June 2024, the parliamentary premise was invaded by protesters. Why was the police service not able to prevent the invasion, as Parliament is one of the strategic national state installations? And 2, and the last one, what is the assurance and the confidence of the police service to ensure security and safety of Parliament in case of any other security threat or emergency? I thank you, co-chairs.
So you can respond to the 3, maybe 2 minutes each.
Thank you, co-chairs. Thank you, members. Let me start with the last one from Honorable Osabuyu. It is very, very true that the Constitution of Kenya, Article 37, has given the people of Kenya the right to protest, the right to picket, to demonstrate, and to deliver and hand over petitions to public offices or public officers. However, I must also hasten to say that where one's right ends, another right begins. So now, I would wish to say that there is no country that can never allow extrajudicial killing. Extrajudicial killing is illegal if it ever happens. And let me also say this, that the police officers, in the training of the police officers, a training that I have personally attended to in various capacities. The training is to ensure that a police officer is always in the forefront in the defense of the rights and freedoms of the people through the functions provided by the Police Act. They are well trained on what to do in terms of the management of demonstrations. Public Order Act guides on matters demonstration. If there is excessive use of force by an officer, we have the oversight bodies, we have IPOA, we have the ODPP. And even now, as you speak, I know there are several investigations that are ongoing in relation to what happened during the demonstrations. There's a clear demonstration that any use of excessive force cannot be around, and it cannot go unpunished. And that's the reason why those bodies have also come on board to address those matters. Number two, if approved and appointed as the IG, the IG through the Internal Affairs Unit can also be able to order investigations to look into those very serious allegations of the violations of the rights of the people. But what I want to say to the honorable member is that if approved to be the IG of the National Police Service, I will ensure that the service performs its duties within the frameworks of the law. Within the frameworks of the law, so that everybody enjoys those rights. The security of Parliament. Parliament is one of the key bodies established by our Constitution. And if approved and appointed IG, this is an area that we cannot allow anyone to come around joking around with this Parliament. So for me, I will do whatever it takes to ensure that this Parliament is safe and secure as the IG. On matters security gaps, yes, there are gaps. And maybe let me start by saying that I must, first of all, appreciate the police officers for having operated under difficult circumstances, because our security, the security of the state, was in jeopardy, because the kind of demonstrations that we had, they had actually engulfed almost the entire country, overstretching the resources that are at our disposal. And the reason why, going forward, we still need to invest a lot in terms of ensuring that our officers are well trained. We continue training, continue getting the better equipment to manage some of these things. Training, as I said from the word go, is an area that I would like to run away with, because I do believe that trained officers is actually the direction to go, and we need to have a lot of investment in that direction. And then on matters, former AG had issues, that is had issues the National Police Service on matters promotion. Well, if approved.
Just a minute, before you go there, on the 25th, the day not to remember, as the Speaker rightfully put it, the reports are when Parliament was invaded, and of course the City Hall was actually even banned, you didn't have water, cannons, or water, even actually fire extinguisher, fire engines. Maybe, and I know, because you were still, that day you were the DIG, and of course you were in thick of things, trying to quell the demonstrations. Will you tell the country and us and these members, it is an issue that of course there was demonstration even before, that was actually the second day. How comes that such thing could happen and you could not even have the basic fire engines or water even to put off the fire? Was it laxity? Was it lack of preparedness on your part as a police service?
Chair, Co-Chair, on the part of the police service, we were prepared, fully prepared, because we had actually faced similar issues the previous days. We were fully prepared, and despite the fact that the multitudes of the people who turned up, they were huge. The entire roads from all the way from Thika Road, they were actually blocked. Kiabu Road was blocked. The Globe Roundabout was actually blocked, such that even for the water cannons to get water was also a challenge, because first of all you must do the clearance and then you'll be able to access. But what I would like to hasten to say is that from there are better preparations, and also the issue of the multi-agency support systems are there, and everybody is working for the benefit of everybody. Water is readily available, and we say that we are set for that. Thank you, Chair.
Really running?
Okay, on matters, there were matters that were raised about the former IG having issues with the National Police Service Commission on matters promotion. If I'm approved and appointed as the IG, being the head of the National Police Service, and also being a commissioner of the National Police Service Commission, together with the DIGs and the DCI, I think we just need to table what we have before the commission, because we are also members of that commission as commissioners. And then everything is discussed on the table and agreed. So I don't think we are going to have any problem going forward on those issues. Thank you, Chair. And then matters Bonnie Forest. Lamu, Marsabit, Garissa. I want to assure the honorable member that even as we speak now, I'm aware that we have heavy deployments. Highly trained officers are on deployment in the northeastern region, along the borders, all the way down to Boni, starting from border post 1 up to border post number 27 in the Lamu area. We have got heavy deployments inside the Boni forest, and we will continue to do so, and continue even to facilitate those deployments so that they can be able to enhance their capabilities. So the people of Marsabit, the other day we had a very serious operation there when it had become very difficult because of the proliferation of small arms, light weapons in that area. I was the commander GSU and he headed that operation. Right now Marsabit is quiet. So I want to assure the people from all those areas that if appointed and approved and appointed IG, I will continue in that trajectory and even continue to invest more in those areas to ensure that our people are safe and secure. Thank you, Chair. On the Haiti question, yes, we have deployment. On the Haiti question, we have deployment there. We have already deployed around 600 officers. Maybe I want to make it clear that that deployment of the multinational forces in Haiti was deployed as guided by the United Nations, and the former Prime Minister of Haiti did request on behalf of his people for that kind of support from our government. And the government agreed on that. And I want to report to this honorable committee, co-chairs, that the officers on deployment there, they are doing a very good job. They have been received well by the people of Haiti. Roads have been opened, hostels have been opened, the ports have been opened, the airport has actually been opened. So our officers are doing a very commendable job in support of the policing agencies in Haiti. And number two, the support that the salaries, the kind of insurance they have there, all that is met by the United Nations. That's the kind of support, including the medical attentions that they normally get from time to time. That is supported by the United Nations. The benefits for the Kenyan people. Kenya, being amongst the nation of the world, we envisage a situation whereby we live in an environment that is secure and peaceful. And the same case applies even to the other countries. So the benefits are such that our people, when they are out there, our flag, the national flag, is flying high. Everybody in Haiti right now believes that the Kenyan forces are doing very well. And I believe at the end of the day, we, the people of Kenya, we will be the major beneficiaries once our mission there is the intentions are fully achieved. The Kenyan people will actually be the biggest beneficiaries because we have deployed policing services elsewhere, including Somalia, including Sudan. We have police officers there, and all of them are doing a very, very, very commendable job. And also the kind of experiences that they are going to acquire when they are there is also going to be beneficial to the other officers here because they will also be able now to train them how to deal with others from other nations, and those other important areas that you can be able to pick from them, they can also be inculcated to our policing agencies here. So there are many, many, many benefits that you can be able to acquire and accrue from that deployment in Haiti. And then finally, on corruption matters.
But just before you leave that question, in 1 minute, can you tell the country and this committee, on your own, from your own assessment, how do you rate the success of the Kenya multi-security in Haiti? How do you rate their success? 2, abbreviate their well-being. You know, of course, Kenyans are into LA fears. You know, they were anxious. So you can just a little. How do you rate their success?
Thank you very much, co-chairs. Much honorable members. I want to assure the Kenyan people that our people who have formed up the multinational operations team in Haiti, as I have indicated there earlier, they were well received by the Haiti people. So we don't have any threat at all. I've also indicated that they have gone ahead and secured those critical infrastructures, including the medical facilities, including the highways, including the airports, including the ports, seaports. They have actually been opened. I have also indicated that the United Nations is catering for them, from their salaries, from their food, medical cover, and so forth. So the officers are very okay.
So you're confirming their well-being is, you know, their welfare is good. You're also confirming to these members that barely 2 months, they are doing tremendously well to help the people of Haiti to bring the country to normalcy.
Exactly.
I think that is exactly.
They have done very well.
Go to the next question.
We are proud of them. It's an issue that of the champions. We have the with IPOA and other relevant bodies that can actually be able to with IPOA and other relevant bodies that can actually be able to assist us. We need to come up the leaders, political leaders, and everybody else is actually active.
Part you talk about corruption. Maybe when appointed and confirmed, will you think you can consider, especially in corrupt-prone points like Weybridge, trafficking, you know, these barriers? Yeah? Then Commander.
Everybody will no answers, and we move on. When the demonstrations took place, you are the deputy IG, correct? Do you think you handled the demonstrations well?
Yes, I believe we handled the demonstrations well. And that's why even today we are seated here doing the kind of business that we are doing. Otherwise it could have been very, very difficult. We are very safe and continuing. Thank you.
Were you pleased differently if you are IG?
True. My approach would be different.
What would you do?
Prof, just guidance. You know, you are cross-examining.
I'm just,
like in court.
Yeah, I'm making it easy because the answers were not clear. I want him to come to the point.
You're cross-examining our nominee, and I think our rule is you set your questions, the other one then responds, all of them together.
Okay.
So set to the standards, lay
Chair, I support what you're saying because we say.
What would you do differently if you were faced with a new set of Gen Zs coming into town? You have said yourself that roads were blocked and you could not access certain roads. What would you do to map out Nairobi well so that you do not have demonstrators come to the center of the city and cause the kind of mayhem that they did? But on that, I just wanted to answer this. Were all those who came into the city genuine demonstrators? Is there a way you say these are genuine, these are not genuine?
You just know that. You will respond together with the rest.
And then I just put the last question, IG. Very, very last question, because you are coming into a serious office. We have talked about 600 officers deployed to Haiti. When was the last recruitment of the police, the last recruitment? And how many policemen have we lost through death, retirement, resignations, and dismissals from then to now? And then just tell us, as you take over office, when are you going to announce the hiring of new officers?
That's a very valid question. Senator Vice Chair.
Mr. Kanja, I like you personally with how you handled the communication. Immediately you were acting IG during the demonstration. To me, felt like a breath of fresh air. I don't want to go into how your predecessor handled it, but I just want to note that we have a lot of hope in you and faith. My question is going to be on budget. The current budget cuts, especially in the development budget, have posed a great challenge in the police force. What are you going to prioritize to ensure that the National Police Service performs efficiently and effectively in view of these austerity measures? Secondly, the President, through a directive in November 2022, made the Inspector General of Police was designated as the accounting officer of the National Police Service. What is the impact of this directive? And finally, Kenyans are wondering, because you are just at the age of retirement, Kenyans are asking, why do you want to be the IG of police and there are other qualified officers who are much younger than you and are qualified for this position? Thank you.
Kaunya.
Thank you very much, co-chairs. Chair, I would like to ask questions relating to the police reforms, and then I will give a last comment. Our nominee for IG, there is this question of police reforms that has been elusive over a long time, since the late 90s. And as you're aware and you've been in the service, the police reforms have undergone through several stages. And maybe just to highlight and indicate to you that we have had police reforms prior to 2007. And after 2008, we have had the recommendations by various bodies, including, and starting with the Waki report and other commissions that followed. We have had task forces, such as the one that was headed by Naikuni. We have had, of course, the latest being the Maraga report. I want to ask one question. If you can give this committee or committees, joint committees, an indication of just 3 factors or issues that have hampered the implementation of police reforms in Kenya, which are really meant to have improved the effectiveness and efficiency of police and to improve the confidence the public have in the police. That's the first question. Second question. In terms of the Maraga report indicated that the leadership in the police service was very poor in terms of the human resource management, and including, of course, the issue of development of facilities that ensure the welfare of police officers to deliver is undertaken. Some of the examples that have been mentioned already, the issues of police uniforms, the issues of promotions, transfers, which have been identified to be riddled with favoritism and sometimes not properly organized. I want to ask which new strategies, give us just 3 strategies you are going to apply to ensure that those areas identified by the task force are addressed. Of course, you are aware some of the recommendations have already been mentioned and they are in place or they are ongoing. It may be good if you mention to the members which of these reforms in the task force that have been recommended and have already been implemented. Lastly, on the question of reforms, I'm glad you've mentioned the issue of training as a critical aspect. And indeed, in the Maraga report, it has received a lot of emphasis. You have also informed us and these committees that when you have been serving as a senior police officer, especially as DIG, you have brought changes, some changes in this respect of training, emphasizing training of officers, which is very, very good. I want you to tell us candidly whether the training centers for police officers which were at the regional level are operational or not. And if they are not, what are you going to do about? Because I think one of the factors is the capacity to train within the institutions that we have for training. Lastly, Chair, this a comment. Interestingly, our nominee, I noticed in your opening remarks that you are born on the 22nd of September 1963. I was born on the 6th of June 1963. Apparently, we are in the same cadre. Very, very interesting. Interestingly also, I note that actually you are a platoon commander at one stage. And Honorable Senator Dulo will confirm to you, I was also a platoon commander at some stage. Interestingly, again, we have undertaken, I did, and indeed the chair indicated, I'm commandant. I was commandant at some stage, and apparently you played that role at some stage. I wanted, this does not call for your comment, but you can comment. I wish I knew that I was qualified to apply for Inspector General. I should have applied. I initially thought that this is only, so I think the president should have nominated me. But wish you the best of luck. Thank you, co-chairs.
Okay, kindly, can you able to respond the three members' question under 10 minutes? But I personally just want to you pay a little bit emphasis on the issue of the Maraga Task Force report. Specifically, maybe you can give a status update report to be very for clarity purposes. What has been implemented? What is the roadmap?
Thank you, co-chairs and the honorable members. Maybe let me start by the last one. From Honorable Kanja. That it's good that we have got some very common grounds. I really appreciate, and if approved and appointed IG, I think can also be able to offer quite substantial reference areas going forward. So thank you very much on that. On matters training, vis-a-vis the regional training centers, let me say that the regional training centers are there and they are strategically positioned. We have one in Nairobi here, we have another one in Rift Valley, Nakuru, we have another one in the coastal region, that's in Mombasa, we have one in northeastern Garissa, we have one in Isiolo down there. These training centers was strategically positioned so that they can be able to assist the regional commanders, police commanders, who are popularly known as the PPOs then. Because of the uniqueness of our country and the many challenges that we face when it comes to matters of security, the regional commander, through the training college, the training center, he could be able to organize trainings that are geared to support the unique challenges that are faced in that specific area. That is basically the reason why we had those challenges. In Nairobi, the training center was meant to train and equip officers deployed in Nairobi on all those areas, all those issues affecting the security of Nairobi. You go to the Rift Valley here in Nakuru, that training center was meant to assist the PPO, the former PPO and the regional commander now, to come up with the strategies and the train officers so that they can specifically deal with the uniqueness, nature of those areas, including the cattle strong menace, for example. You go to the coastal region, you also need to train the officers on all security matters affecting that area, including terrorism and the rest. So these training centers were critically important. However, over time, they have actually been run down. And the reason why they have been run down, when I was appointed the DIG, I was looking at issues. Why is it that we are facing all these kind of challenges when I was at that level? We realized that for a long time, our budget, the budget allocated to the National Police Service actually, is in most cases a third of our request. That actually puts us in a very, very awkward situation. So going forward, personally, I would like the training centers to be brought up on speed so that we can continue to start training the officers there and actually make them mission ready to deal with the issues that are specific to those areas. That one now requires funding, and that is the reason why, personally, if approved and appointed IG, I will still be coming back to this honorable committee for assistance so that we can be able to get additional funding in order now to ensure that our officers are well trained to handle issues that are specific to specified areas. That is how probably I would like to approach. So the training centers are critically important, and we need to move with speed and ensure that they are up and running to support the officers in the field. And that way, we also see a lot of improvement in terms of security enhancement in those areas that have actually been having some of these challenges.
But out of all the centers, is there a few that are functional?
Yes.
How many out of the?
Okay, we have a number of them that are operating, but not up to 100%. But for example, we have the training center there. We have actually been training the officers. At times, we could also take them down to Magadi here to enhance their skills. Okay. So that is how Coast Mombasa, it has actually been learning. In the Northeastern, it has actually been learning, but it requires a lot of support so that we can be able to bring it back to the ongoing reforms. When Maraga Task Force submitted its report to the President, thereafter, I know a team was constituted by the former IG, so that now we can actually now be able to look into details what Maraga report had actually said. And then it was actually divided into three categories. There were those areas that required no funding and they could be implemented. There were those areas that required funding and they can be done in the medium term. And there are others that require to be done in the long term. At the same time, there were other areas that requires some policy change, and others required even amendment of the laws. So the current status is that a number of them have actually been implemented. Remember, even the phase 1 of the salary increment that is affecting the welfare of the officer has actually been implemented, where our officers were paid some money last month, and it is continuing. Number 2, when we look at the component of uniforms, because that was also another area that was coming out clear that needed to be addressed.
You can confirm to the country and this House that the increment has been of police salaries, wages has been already effected.
Yeah, it has already been effected.
In the end of the month?
Yes, the previous month. So, okay. So the officers, the way their welfare has been looked into, and they're happy. They're happy for that. So on matters uniforms, we are set. All the procurement processes are complete. What is remaining now is the issue of funding. And
you can specify which uniform? The current uniform or the anticipated?
The anticipated uniforms. In fact, once we
into the previous.
Yes. Okay, we have the combat uniforms that are normally in use by the GSU, by those general duty officers who are deployed in the frontier areas. Those are the combat uniforms. The ones that are worn by the administration police officers, the formed up units, those are the combat uniforms. And those ones we are not changing. But there are those uniforms, the blue uniform that is ordinarily worn by the general duty officers in the urban areas, the blue uniform. We are changing that one, and in fact, a lot of investment in that direction has been done, including public participation, and we have gotten what the officers and the public feels that this is the right one. So what is remaining is the rollout. And the rollout is actually on the process. Once the funds are available, we're just going to roll it very fast. Very fast. So on those areas where we require the policy changes, the processes are already ongoing. On the areas requiring some the adjustment on the laws.
What is the plan on the housing?
Yeah, our plan on the housing is we want, if it is possible, housing where we have RAD within our police stations, housing to be done in those areas so that our officers are deployed, they stay deployed and stays within their police station areas. And that way, they are always available for a quick deployment. We're also encouraging our officers that there is a
It's also that trade between our borders. We've been having a lot of harassments of Kenyans in our borders. You look at the issue where there is area in Tanzania where we have been having some cattle being sold by the neighboring countries for farmers. There's been an incident where chicken has been burnt by the neighboring countries, that's Tanzania. Recently we had
we had 2,000 cattle been arrested and, charged with more than 5,000 from Kajiado County by Tanzania authorities. And they even arrested people from our own boundaries. These are the things that really need to understand how you can coordinate as the Inspector General of Police to bring some, peace to our traders or even farmers who are also working in our boundaries. Please tell us more about this. And last but not least, the issue of National Police Service Commission in relations to your office of Inspector General of Police. How do you bring, you can see that sometimes there have been some overlaps of roles and responsibilities. How do you bring in the functions, because we understand the functions of the National Police Commission and your office in relations to issues of recruitment and human resource. How are you going to tell Kenyans and this committee on how to reduce the conflicts in between there and the relationship between your office and the National Police Service Commission? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I thought you had answered actually that question earlier. I think you had done it. You can just emphasize so that you save on time. Who was the next?
Yeah, I was the next chair. Okay. Thank you, Chair. Chair, mine will be two questions. One of the questions will have a series of other subsections. Chair, all of us are familiar and aware of the Shakahola massacre, where close to 450 bodies were exhumed. The church of one Pastor Mackenzie thrived for a very long time without raising any concern until recently, 2023. While there are structured local administration and security agencies, and in the recent past, 30 severely mutilated decomposing bodies of female persons were recently found in Kuru and Jaga slums in Nairobi. Now, my question is, what's your take on the coordination mechanisms between the Kenya Police, DCI, and National Intelligence Service? Number two, what are the challenges and gaps in the acquisition and utilization of intelligence for the purpose of dealing with criminal activities? And number three, during the Shakahola, when this issue came up, the Senate had a committee visited this particular area and came with a report. We want to find out the recommendation of the Senate, what has been done, or if you are approved by this committee and by extension by Parliament, what will you be able to do? Number four, if given a chance to be the Inspector General, what deterrent measures will you put in place to ensure that similar atrocities do not occur in the near future? Number two of the question I said, this is a supplementary question to a question somebody asked about ASAL areas and banditry. ASAL and border areas are actually chronically and critically understaffed in terms of the presence of police service. And I think this is not by default, it's by design. And I wanted to ask, because majority of these areas lack police presence or security presences. I will ask, because in these areas, most police officers are not comfortable working in these areas. Even if they are posted, they find their way out of these places by corrupting their seniors, and then they are transferred elsewhere. Is there a way NPR can be enhanced to replace the number of police officers who may not be comfortable working in these particular areas because it is not maybe their upbringing to allow them live in those particular areas? Like if a police station requires 60 police officers and you have only 10, why can't we be able to recruit 50 NPR to enhance that police station. Yeah, and the last one is the issue of human trafficking and drug trafficking. These border areas are the main entry point, and a case of human trafficking is Ethiopia. We have seen a number of Ethiopians being trafficked through Kenya, either to Uganda or to Tanzania, to their destination. And it is because of the porosity of these particular borders, because of absence of security forces along these borders. What better can you do to ensure that this doesn't continue? Thank you very much.
Fatuma. Thank you, co-chairs. My question has just been asked by Mheshimiwa Kuja, but I will still ask and put in another way. Mr. Nominee, I want to start with the drugs trafficking in the area of Ethiopia and Kenya. There's a lot of drugs trafficking happening between Ethiopia and Kenya, and it comes through Ethiopia, Moyale border, Wajir, Isiolo, and to the rest of Kenya. And there's a lot of wealth that is being made out of these drugs, including the police officers who are in those areas. And it's surprisingly, it's done in the open glare of the police officers. And I'm told they don't like leaving those areas because of the wealth they make, Mr. Nominee. And as a result of that, the impact is so felt that there's a lot of killings that happens between the people who are dealing the drugs. There's breakage of families and so many other, impact that is felt. Even as the former position you have had as the DIG, I'm sure this has come to your table many times. And if you were to go to this area right now, you'll be shocked how these businesses are being done in the open glare of the public. And the public have a lot of information, and there is nothing that can be done because of the police officers. What is your take on that? It affects us a lot as the communities who reside along the border. That is one. My other question, you mentioned on education, Mr. Nominee, and I want to integrate with insecurity. Are you aware there are some locations in this country that their schools are closed as the government is watching as a result of insecurity? One of them being Bambo West in Mandera, Wajir North. This is the third term that is the children are going to school. And the school in Bambo West is closed as a result of insecurity, and nothing is happening. And I'm told the school has gone up to grade 8 or standard 8. So I want to know why that is happening in our country. I want to come back to your education background, Mr. Nominee. You have done so well, and you have rose through the ranks on this on the position you hold as the DIG and the acting IG. Looking at your CV, you've done a lot to do with security matters. And I see your degree is on commerce, Bachelor of Commerce. Just wanted to know why the shift from the security to the commerce sector. I don't know what you have seen. I will want to know what you have seen so that we get to understand more. Lastly, the recent demonstration that my colleague had asked, I just want to inject something small on the police officers who are not wearing tags, who are on plain uniform, and who are not also wearing service numbers. What is your take on that, even besides the court saying it was illegal? Why did we have to continue doing what we did. Thank you.
Okay. But I will request you to maybe take maximum 7 minutes for all those. Because if you see our time, members, it is already going to 1. And the rest of us who have not gotten a moment must speak also. So, Bwana Kanja, try maybe 5-6 minutes there, kindly.
Maybe just to reinforce what the co-chair said, we still have a lot of questions from the public. So maybe members will be asking only 2 questions maximum so that we can help the situation.
Okay.
And even the nominee, be precise, to the point, with clarity.
And also where questions has been answered, like the last part of Seki's question on the issue of, which one was it? Yeah, on conflict of interest.
Commission.
That's been done.
Yeah.
So you can ignore that and you move to the rest.
Okay, thank you, co-chairs. Thank you, members. Let me start with the last question of Honorable Fatuma. The issues of drug trafficking between Kenya and Ethiopia. It is true that has actually been a route that drugs have been trafficked. Human beings have actually been trafficked in that route. We have got many security agencies deployed on all those areas. But what we have been doing and what we have been seeing is that at the person.
I want to guide you, Bwana Kanja. You do a lot of background, and it's good so that members can understand. But I would like you to now answer the question. What will you do? Because you understand, so that you save time.
Thank you very much for that guidance. So if approved and appointed IG, we need to look at the period of time the officers have stayed actually in those areas. If you look at on the policy, the Police Act is very clear, the SSO is also very clear, no more than 3 years. So we need to stick on those deployment plans so that we avoid a situation whereby the officers get so much used to one area such that now they actually become a problem in an area. Number
Chair, can I
2.
give point of information on that?
That's okay.
Chair.
But do you think he wants you to inform him?
I believe
okay.
The current CS, Kindiki, he said that he has come up with a policy that police officers should not stay in a station more than 3 years, which he actually promised he was going to implement immediately. But up to now, you will find even some of the officers, especially in those areas where drugs are being trafficked, they have stayed more than even 10 years. Can you implement that once you approve? I thank you.
Okay, proceed. Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, those are the issues that I'm discussing that they require urgent attention. It is true that the service have got over 120,000 officers. So even in their deployment, yes, the police is there. Right now we have done up to the mark of around 40,000. And it is continuing. So it's actually a whole big issue. But I quite agree with you 100% that we need to do that like yesterday. It's important. On why I decided.
Before you leave that one, nominee, it's a very, very, very sensitive issue. It's an issue that keeps coming every other day. And even some of us who sit in that committee, the issue of conflict of interest or the transfers. One, some officers overstays in hardship areas just because they don't have godfathers, they don't have somebody to help them get out, which is supposed to be rotational. Or senior officers who has got businesses in particular regions of interest, they stay there to protect their businesses. Others even run matatus, they do even show, and even drugs. So, and they become so, and you can't even touch them. They get their transfer, within a day or two, the transfers have been revoked. That is exactly what members are saying, and that is what Kenyans are saying. What assurance do you give Kenyans who are listening and watching you that this is not going to be happening again?
Thank you, Chair. Now, in order for us to, for myself, if approved and appointed, the direction that I would like to take is a direction whereby I work with the National Police Service Commission, whereby I will also be a commissioner of that commission, together with the DIGs and the Director DCI. And by so doing, we will ensure that we have a work plan on matters deployment, a plan that is going to guide us, so that we avoid situations whereby an officer is transferred today and then a few days later he again fights his way back there. So I will be calling upon the National Police Service Commission to also come in and give that support, and that we can now be able to move forward.
We are not going to run with that. If we are confirmed, we are going to have held you accountable.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you. On why I decided to do a commerce degree, as I said from the word go, when I rose to the rank of Assistant Commissioner Police, then I was also aspiring for higher levels, and in terms of the command and leadership of the service. And that way, I opted for finance option because that one would also anchor me as the IG. That one will also go a long way in assistance. It pains me that some children cannot go to school because of security issues. And I want to assure this committee that if approved and appointed, that is an area that I will have to direct all my efforts to see to it that those children goes to school straight away. The issues of demonstrators, some of our officers not wearing proper uniforms during demonstrations. I think that's an area that I'm going to address if approved and appointed the IG, because we know what is the regulation says, what is the conduct, how is the police supposed to conduct itself. We are very much aware of that. So once Chair I'm approved, I'm going to deal with this issue. Thank you.
A point of order, Chair. Chair, that matter, the nominee is dealing with is a very serious matter. I think he should tell us how he proposes to deal with it. Because I can tell you, Chair, on 21st July last year, people not uniformed went into Kisumu in the night, and you saw the number of people they killed. All male persons they pulled from houses in Nyalenda and Nyamasari are all shot, in which the police should be dressed while in operation or action is something we need to hear specifically from you, how you want to address it.
Maybe you expound on that.
Thank you very much, co-chairs and members. It is true, the concern is very valid. The concern is very valid. They've approved and appointed the IG. Now, I will be the chair of the Joint Service Board, whereby the DIGs, the two DIGs, the DCI are incorporated. And as we are saying, we want an accountable police service. So mine is to ensure that even when we are going for a deployment, whatever kind of deployment, be it to control those kind of demonstrations, be it other operations, the necessary uniforms that are supposed to be worn will have to be put on. Will have to be put on. So that is my stand on that. That we rely on those who are not putting on the correct attires in the service delivery. Thank you, Chair.
You still answering the other questions?
Yes, we still have.
Can you summarize?
There was a question that was asked by Mheshimiwa Protas.
Yeah.
It was about Shakahola. Let me say this, that on matters Shakahola, first of all, it was very, very unfortunate that we lost so many Kenyans, so many people down there. Very, very unfortunate, actually, for all of us that happened. But I'm also happy and happy to note that the head of state, our president, went ahead and appointed a task force that was supposed to look at all those issues so that we put a stop on these kind of happenings. And the task force the other day submitted this report to the president. And that report is being worked on, whereby there were a number of recommendations, including having a commission that can be able to, a religious affairs commission, formulation of policies that can be able to, to regulate. Now, the National Police Service will also come in and work with everybody, including such commissions, so that anything near Shakahola will never happen again. Thank you, Chair. There was also another question from Senator. Huh? There was also another question from Senator Reku.
Oh, Sekis, okay.
That was just about
1 minute only.
I'm going to spend even less than a minute. Disconnect between the DCI, KPS, and the APS. Let me say this. First of all, as far as I'm concerned, there is no disconnect. The services have actually been working very well, and we are going to continue to enhance that. There could be some few structural, challenges here and there, but we will continue working to, bringing the services closer, because each service is supposed to support the other service. That is how we are supposed, all of us, to work. And in fact, we have been working in that direction. And I believe if approved and appointed IG, I will enhance that direction. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, Mburu.
Chair, before you move to Mburu, my questions on understaffing in other areas and border areas has not been answered, and also issue of human trafficking along those particular borders.
On the human trafficking, I've indicated that we are going to deal with the issues of overstayed officers. We are going to enhance intelligence collection and work together with the providers of the intelligence collection, including the NIS and the DCI and everybody else, so that we can be able to tame that menace. On the understaffing in those areas, it is true, I did indicate from the word go that I'm ready and willing, if approved and appointed the IG, to work with the leadership of all those areas, so that, the leadership and the people, so that if a decision is made that we increase the number of NPLs to those local areas, because of the kind of knowledge they have on the local areas, then I think those are some of the undertakings that are really possible.
Thank you. Mburu Chelule, and then Sigei and Hussein. Now we are using our powers. We have increased to 4.
To assist my co-chair, kindly members, is already 1:10. Can we restrict ourselves to a maximum 2 questions, please, so that we can accommodate?
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'll just do one.
I will be having 2 men here, Kaluma and So Kaluma, you are a senior counsel. Relax. I love who you. So Mburu.
Thank you, Co-Chair. Mine is just one question. Mr. Kanja, I come from a constituency where community policing used to work very well, where members of the public were able to share information with the police, and of course we saw situations where crimes were prevented. And of course, within the National Police Service Act, there is that provision of establishment of the committees within the sub-counties, going all the way to locations. But according to the Maraga report, there has been lack of commitment from the National Police Service on the issue of community policing. If you are given this opportunity, what steps would you take to ensure that you go as per the National Police Service Act, where you establish the committees that will be able to help you? And I believe, even as you're answering the question of Shakahola, if this had been established, it would have been easy to gather intelligence, because we are talking about people who are being driven into the forest, and nobody actually noticed that people are going in and not coming out. But with the establishment of the community policing, that would have been thwarted. How would you do it differently moving forward so that you're able to establish these committees to help you in gathering intelligence? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
It was me. It's me.
Thank you, Chairs.
Chair, asante kwa kunipatia nafasi. Niulize swali ambaye inahusu wananchi wa Kenya. Chair, nimefurahi kupata hii nafasi. Bwana Kanja, naelewa sana vile umefanya kazi ya security katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Unaelewa kwamba kuna mauaji mengi sana ambayo imefanyika katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Na mauaji ambayo imefanya ni ile inalenga mtoto msichana na kina mama. Unaelewa kwamba uwaji ya kina mama, especially wale wanauawa na wazee wao ama mabwana zao ama relatives wao, imeenda juu. Ninajua utajibu kusema watu wahusika watashikwa, lakini kando na kushikwa, ni nini ingine uko nayo tofauti katika mkakati yako kuhakikisha kwamba hizi shida imepunguka kule nyumbani? Hii mambo ambayo ninakueleza umekuwa ukisikia, umekuwa ukiona kwa makazi zetu kwamba wazee wanaamka tu asubuhi ama usiku, wanashika panga, wanakata kina mama. Kina mama wanaumia sana kwa mkono ya wale mabwana wao ambaye sijui ni shida gani wako nayo. Kwa hivyo wewe leo ukipatiwa kazi na National Assembly yetu, wewe ni mkakati gani utafanya tofauti pia, kama vile nimesikia wengine wakisema, ni nini utafanya kando na kushika muhusika? Ni nini unafikiria unaweza fanya kureduce ama kupunguza shida ambayo imetupata nyumbani? Nimefurahi sana kwa swali ambayo umejibu kwamba mambo ya ufisadi ni mambo ambayo inatuhusu sisi wote kama wananchi wa Kenya, kama watumishi wa Mungu, kama viongozi kama sisi. Umesema utafanya mpango ya kuhakikisha kwamba elimu imefika kule nyumbani kuhusu mambo ya ufisadi. Hii mambo ya kina mama na watoto kuuawa, ni nini utafanya? Pili, sijui kama unaelewa kwamba zamani bangi na pombe haramu ilikuwa ikifanyika, biashara ilikuwa ikifanyika nchini. Lakini wakati huu tunapoongea, bangi zinasungushwa katika village, inauzwa, mambo ya pombe haramu inaendelea, na mara nyingi pia maofisa wako wanatajwa kwa biashara ya bangi, kwa biashara ya pombe. Asante sana.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa Weta.
Yeah, thank you, Chairs, the co-chairs.
Just before you proceed, don't ask a question that has already been asked in the interest of time.
Yes, yes. Number one is the issue of welfare, police housing, and logistics. Mr. Nominee, especially where I come from, I was really shocked to see police officers sleeping in the open area, with just mattresses but nowhere to spend on. They have no houses at all. It is really desperate situations in some of the areas we have gone. A place called Arabia sub-county in my constituency, I was going around just 2 weeks ago, and it was really unfortunate that officers of higher ranks were spending, outside in the cold with only mattresses. Number two, the other thing I realized is that I have witnessed an OCBD using, public transport. They have no vehicles at all. That is about the welfare of the police. Number two is the issue of roadblocks. According to Maraga indicated that roadblocks are used as toll stations where police collect bribes. Whenever they just want to, get money, they just go put a roadblock to go and collect funds, to go and collect bribes. Instead of using other ways of, combating criminals, that is the way they normally do. According to Maraga, his suggestion was that mobile roadblocks can work, can do very well, especially where there are issues. Number three is the issue of gazetted stations or posts.
We had agreed maximum 2 questions.
No, these are simple questions.
Okay, that's
gazetted,
your last.
They are gazetted stations or posts that has not been operationalized for the last 3-4 years, and especially where the insecurity areas. The other issue is the issue of NBRs. NBRs are really doing a good job, especially in our areas.
And NPR had been addressed.
Yeah, but
we had agreed we are not
what they get is 5,000 Kenya shillings. 5,000 cannot do much, and they are killed like any other police station. Unfortunately, they are not. They have no insurance. They have no pay. They have no, they have no retirement baggage. What plans do you have in changing their lives? Number three, which is, Nini, I think it's a quick one, is the issue of the old way of doing, operations, especially when there are incidents. Just a few days ago, there was an incident in my constituency. Unfortunately, instead of doing an intelligence-led operations, they just go into the houses, get people, harass people. What are the new and modern ways of operation of carrying out operations instead of just haphazard way of carrying out operations? Thank you.
Chairman, I will ask 2 questions. Mr. Kanja, thank you very much for the response. I want to start, Mr. Chairman, by saying I am one of the Kenyans who are very impressed with the first press conference to update the nation on what was going on. And you are doing it, and I told you. I want to ask whether you have intentions to restore the posts of police spokesman or spokesperson. That's number 1. Number 2 is what strategies do you have to reduce the road carnage? I know it's not only you have NTSA to work with, but I would like you to answer the question also on corruption on roads. And whether, which we have also mentioned, whether you are also going to leverage on technology to reduce road carnage. Thank you.
Mr. Kanja, you can respond to those ones. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, co-chairs. Thank you, members. Maybe I start with the last one from Honorable Francis Sigei.
Kindly go directly to to respond to the questions.
Yes. So about the road carnage, if approved and appointed IG, I'm going to work with all the stakeholders. We are also going to deploy technology, actually, as I did indicate there before, cameras and everything else that can be able to alert us that some vehicles are overspeeding and so forth, and then they can be intercepted somewhere. Corruption on the roads. I did earlier indicate that the measures that we have put in place, actually, by first of all...
Which cameras will you be using? Which cameras specifically?
The kind of cameras I'm thinking of are those,
our
yes.
CCTV cameras in our highways.
Exactly.
Okay, anyway, we will come to that. There's a question from the public,
all right,
specifically on that matter. So they say they're all blind. They're not functional.
Okay, we'll just go on. So on matters corruption on our roads, as I indicated there before, corruption is a problem. And number two, what have we done about it? We have reverted our traffic department back to the commandant traffic, and then we have all the structures in place. We are continuing, and we have been very serious training officers who can actually be able to read. And the kind of training that we are putting them through is also educating them on why corruption is a very serious disease in this country, and why they don't need to get engaged in that one. And many other measures are actually in place to ensure that what we are talking about is actually fully implemented, because this is an area that I'm also passionate about. On the press conferences, thank you very much, Honorable Sigai. I know communication is important. I know communication is power. And that's the reason why, even when I was appointed the acting IG, I went straight to communication, to communicate with the people, to talk to the people, to speak to the people actually, so that they can actually be able to get the position. Remember, what was happening there before is that some people had been killed down there in Kithurai. There was mass massacre, I don't know, murders. But the truth of the matter is that nobody had actually been killed in Kithurai. That is the correct position. But now, without communicating to the people, then, you know, once repeated several times, it looks like that is the correct position, which is actually not really the correct position. Nobody had actually been killed in Githurai. So the reason why, if I'm approved the IG, I mean approved and appointed IG, I'm going to leverage very much on that area of communication. We are going to come up with, you know, good teams that can keep on communicating with the Kenyan people, telling them the correct position, because there's nothing to be hidden. And that way, we can now be able to have even flow of information, because the people have got a lot of information that can be able to assist the police to enhance the policing capability. And mine, I would like, you know, working with the people. And I know even one of the functions is to ensure that the IG works closely with the communities, and brings the organization and the communities together. One way is through communication. One, letting the people getting to know exactly what's happening. So communication will be an area that I will be actually very much interested. We will ensure that we get you know, a very good communication team, and I know they are there to assist us to reach the people out there. The other one that probably I would like to mention very, very quickly is what has been asked by Honorable Hussein. Police housing. Yes, this is a problem that has been there for quite some time, but I'm happy with the measures that the government is put in place. And even in the Maraga report, that was, you know, flagged out as a major area that needs to be addressed very, very quickly, because it's an area that affects the welfare of the officers, where the officers chairs houses, you know, a group of officers chairing one house. It's not right. It is not right. And the direction that we need to go is to continue investing in that direction, to ensure that our officers who are stationed in the various stations that we have throughout the Republic are housed within their station areas in accommodation that actually befits them. So to me, that is an area that I would be very much interested to work very, very closely with others, so that we can be able to see that we achieve. And we are happy that to note that our government is actually very, very, you know, interested in that direction. About the mobile roadblocks, yes, I mean about the roadblocks. The advice of the Maraga report is that we need to have mobile roadblocks. I also advocate for those roadblocks that are laid as and when required. We don't want permanent roadblocks to be laid, you know, there throughout. No. We want roadblocks that are laid as and when they are required. That is the kind of roadblocks that we want. Yes, mobile teams on our roads is good, because it's a good deterrence. But roadblocks, then that is the direction that personally I would like to take. on the matters of, gazetted police posts which have not yet been operationalized, that is an area that is also very, very urgent, and we need to move quickly. But the issue is anchored on funding. And I hope that going forward we are going to get adequate funds, and that way we can be able to operationalize whatever has remained, including transport. Transport has also been a major issue. A good number of police stations don't have any form of transport, but the government is actually addressing that one. Previously have been assured, and we are working in that direction, and I know very soon stations will be having adequate transport, which will also be good to enable the officers to discharge their duties, our roles. Yes, the operations, as the honorable member has mentioned, the operations should be intelligence-led. Very true. Intelligence-led operation is what the police service requires. We don't just want to move everywhere. We want to go there because there is a need to do that. And this one can only be achieved through intelligence. We are working very, very closely with all the other stakeholders, including the NIS, in the provision of these kind of intelligences, such that we don't disturb everybody. We just go to where criminals are and deal with them as that. Thank you, Chair. No, there is also the question that had been asked by Mheshimiwa Research colleague. Mheshimiwa, vile umeuliza swali ya maana sana. Mimi binafsi I'm a major supporter ya agenda. Ukiangalia wakati nimekuwa Deputy Inspector General of Police kule Police Headquarters Vigilance, right now tuko na officers wengi ambao they are divisional commanders in Nairobi here, ambao ni officers ya kike. Na nataka kusema hivi, hao officers wamefanya kazi mzuri, and we are proud of them. And we will continue to integrate the genders in the policing services, because by so doing tutakuwa tunaona ya kwamba society yetu itakuwa much better. On the issues of GBV, police stations, right now we have got gender desks kwa stations zetu mingi, lakini bado tunahitaji kuongeza the investment in them ndio ziweze kuendelea kufanya hiyo kazi yao na wafanye vizuri, ndio hii mambo inakuwa inashughulikiwa vilivyo. Lakini hata hivyo sio kusema ya kwamba polisi hawashughulikii. Sisi tunashughulikia kadri ya uwezo wetu. Na kama vile nilisema maneno ya corruption, these are other issues that also needs to have discussions at that level, where we need to have families discussing these issues. We need to have communities discussing these issues, because it is not right kwa mtu yoyote kutoa uhai ya ule mwingine. Hiyo si haki. Hiyo si haki hata kidogo. Kwa hivyo mimi kama nitapewa nafasi ya kuwa Inspector General wa polisi, hiyo ni kitego moja, ni area moja ambao I will have a lot of interest in it. Na tutaiangalia vilivyo kuona ya kwamba police stations zote zetu zimekuwa na hiyo. Kumbuka nilisema ya kwamba kwa maono yangu, I want our police stations to be the center of excellences of police operations, including addressing matters affecting gender and gender-based violence. Asante. Kuna swali ya, there is a question from Mheshimiwa Buru. It's about community policing. I'm just going to be very brief on that one. That community policing is a key pillar in policing. because that is how the IG can actually be able to reach the communities out there. So we need to enhance the ability of the community policing. And we will even be moving further than that to ensure that the county policing authorities also come into being, so that now we can be able to enhance security and the policing capability by incorporating everybody, even at the county level.
But that one, Nominee IG, when you mention about the county policing authority, you know, of course, it's a subject in court, very controversial one. One issue being security being not a devolved function.
Okay.
As drafted, as proposed, that will have left the county governors and actually CCs and councillors, MCS,
okay,
to run security of a country. Do you think been actually anchored well, taking into consideration our dynamics, the dynamics of our country?
Let me say this, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Maybe my take on that is that I would look at it as an enhanced way of how community policing is undertaken within our wards, within our locations and so forth. But I don't trust a situation whereby the powers of policing are usurped somewhere else. That one will not
drafted. As it is drafted, the security actually will be more delegated to the MCS, to the CCs, to the governor. Anyway, it's an issue that, of course, it is contentious, and maybe it can be relooked.
Chair,
the whole idea is good, but maybe how it's drafted.
Let me say something on that.
Yeah.
There are areas where we also have to intervene as a house, because they implement the law as it is. I think the drafting was not very good, and I think we are picking from him how we would prefer to apply that law. But I think me and you and these members in the House must have to look at even the issue of the conflict between the IG and the Commission are still also legal issues which we need as a House. So there are areas where we can also help. And I think, as the chair, my co-chair says, it is a very, in my committee, for example, Senate, we've had a lot of legal opinion. And we even actually called the CS to appear. So I agree with you. The national function of security cannot be handed over to the villages. But I think something about community policing is critical to Nyumba Kumi and the Maneno yote. So I think it is an issue that we should be able to look into.
Try to wind up, because of course, as the Senator confirmed, we know, of course, some issues need even some kind of maybe Supreme Court actual interpretation, like the conflicting role of IG and the Commission on employment, recruitment. But just address, actually time is really spent. Try to finish what you still not responded to. Then we let the two guys, Senior Counsel and Aduma, finish.
Thank you very much.
Chair, which Senior Counsel? There's only one Senior Counsel in this room.
My apologies. When you're not there, we refer Kalume one.
There's no Senior
Maybe
Counsel
you'll be one.
Apart from Mutiende Amolo.
So, Professor, well guided.
Thank you very much.
Of course, I don't think.
Chair, you
I
know,
don't think my class.
Chair, you know, I never fight over
you.
matters of substance.
Let me help you. Kaluma.
Some are conferred based on substance.
Kaluma. Even Kaluma. You know, Chenda
you remember him to be one day.
Was my classmate.
Yes, he's a senior lawyer.
Yeah, he's very brilliant.
Good. So that is actually the
gifted.
basis. In fact,
so he's
the basis of being senior is how he carries himself. So, in the layer.
Thank you very much, co-chairs and members. I think the last one was on matters community policing, and I have indicated that we are going to work very, very closely. We are going to enhance them. We are going to encourage all our commanders out there to ensure that community policing works. Thank you, Chair.
The last three. One question each. Senator, the outgoing member of parliament for Nyakach, or I don't know, the incoming governor of Kisumu, then we finish it with Peter Kaluma.
Chair, could you just restrict yourself to the matters that you can
avoid that area.
With the drone, with the drone, with the drone. Let's go on.
Thank you. Thank you, Co-Chair. Thank you, Co-Chair. Mr. Kanja, I would want you to address the issue of how you plan to integrate policemen and women who acquire disability in the course of their work. And also on the same, the whole architecture of the National Police Service is very discriminatory as far as persons with disabilities is concerned. The police station don't have the reasonable access. Sometimes you don't have a sign language interpreter when PWDs come to your station. And it's like the service does not anticipate persons with disability coming to the station either as offenders or complainants. I would want you to address that issue and how you plan to improve the same. Thank you.
Go, Aduma. MP for Nyakach.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'll not want to repeat myself over issues which have been raised as an advocate of the High Court. Our stock of trade is words, so I'll not repeat. But, Chair, I observe that there are graduate officers who still serve as constables when they're supposed to serve as cadets and at the inspector level. I don't know what the nominee, if he succeeds, will do about that. Chair, I've also looked at most of the memoranda which was sent to the Secretariat, about 30 of them. Save for one, most of the memoranda which was sent were actually in support of the nominee. But there's one which was raised, an issue on how the officers who actually seek further studies are being treated, how those applications are being processed. Chair, the other observation I want to make is that since the nominee was appointed to act in that position, I realized that the latest Gen Z's actions, when they called for demos, they were treated with a bit of, the officers were not as ruthless, they didn't use excessive force, and there was some element of human treatment. So I want to commend the nominee for that. And Chair, if you'll allow, maybe when we finish, I would not mind to go and treat him at the restaurant which was damaged by the Gen Z's, because it has been repaired, Chair. Chair, I also want to say that I've noted the sentiments from my colleagues, the very brilliant lawyer Kaluma and my senator who is there. Chair, let it be on record that when they were still in high school, I was at the university studying law. So I've practiced it longer than they've done. Chair, thank you.
They know it. They haven't disputed that.
I thank you, Chair. Chair, I have two questions. One is coming to me from the public. And let me maybe start with it because it is not what I prepared for. Nominee, Kenyans are asking the question that you were DIG last year when during demonstrations over 70 Kenyans were killed. And this is documented by Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. It is documented by IPOA and other bodies. They say you are DIG this year when it is also documented over 40 Kenyans were killed, and this has been documented by the relevant government agencies. It is also this time when over several bodies of Kenyans were found dumped at Kware next to a police station. You are DIG then. Kenyans are asking why you should be elevated to IG if you do not come clearly on your role and your interventions during those matters which have been condemned even by the international community. So you tell Kenyans something about that. But Chair, my question relates to some cloud which remains around the matter of academic qualification for the IG nominee. And I've gone through the nominee's testimonials. Nominee, you must have noted I called for your files. That doubt or cloud is not yet cleared. I think it would be do justice if you clarified it a bit. Chair, the nominee did his KACE exams in 1984. And then he does his degree 30 years later. I've looked at what the grades were for KACE. They don't appear to meet the entry requirement level, which was C+ for a degree at the time. The testimonials confirm that the nominee did chair his university studies at Norero University, which chair was Kenya School of Professional Studies, somewhere next to Parklands there. And graduated in 2014. That Norero University is then collapsed or is wound up in 2016. I've noted from your testimonials what the Commission for University Education has indicated. But remember, at that time, those transcripts cannot be verified with the university because it does not exist. And when I have Googled chair, Google appears to indicate that that university only operated offering degree courses for only 2 years, in fact, on the Google here. So there is that hazy situation because it is a requirement. Please clarify it so that Kenyans may be satisfied that you meet the academic qualifications set out in law. Otherwise, I'm satisfied by the other responses. I thank you, Chair.
So how many questions are those? Because there are 3. Maybe let me just add a few from the public as well. Then you just trying to respond. Actually, you can just be straight to the point. Where a yes is required, you say a yes. Where? Okay, there is one member of the public identified as Captain Brown Amani from Kajiado. He had, of course, talked the issue of the police, the issue of the mental health in the police service. It's a long write-up, maybe, but in summary, just like noting that the officers work in very hardship areas under a lot of stress and mental distress. What are the plans do you have to ensure that such issues are addressed and the issue of mental and social support is offered within the National Police Service? That is from Kitangala. Then another one, he has not mentioned his name here. He's raised about 3 or 4 questions, and I'll just list. Yet one is on the issue of National Police Service Hospital. Of course, this is